there's some pretty good news in what we're hearing. I know there's a lot of shouting, whether it's on the House floor, a lot of deceit going on, and a lot of shouting at town hall meetings, but I believe there's some very good things happening. Because fortunately, the people who are upset, and they're upset for various reasons, but fortunately, almost every one of them is directing their attention in the right way, and that is toward Washington, D.C., and that's good. But the other good part is that government has lost credibility, and this is very good. Those of us who want our individual freedoms back, we've known that for a long time. It's been attacked, it's been undermined. Every time the government takes on a program, they do it at the expense of our personal liberty. But even those who want government programs, who want cradle-to-grave welfare, who want to be taken care of and want to have all these safety nets, they're frightened too, and they're worried because they realize government can't deliver. And they're going to have to look to us because government is failing, and that's only begun. They have, for so many years, been able to borrow and spend and tax and pretend that we were much wealthier than we really were. I have for many years said that a nation that lives beyond its means will have to live beneath its means. And a few years back, nobody cared because we were just always enjoying the great economic boom. But we're now in the process of shifting to living beneath our means. And that, of course, is what we have to reverse. And we can reverse it. It came to us because we made a lot of mistakes by dependency on government, and we can reverse it simply by obeying the Constitution and limiting the government. But we have to wonder what will happen. The one thing about Austrian economics, they're pretty darn good on predicting how events will turn out. You know, if you print a lot of money, it really takes a genius to figure this out. You know, if you print a lot of money, the value of the dollar will go down. You know, that's a pretty good truism. But the one thing about Austrian economics that they never claim they can do, and that is predict events on what particular day. And that's a different story because there's a subjective element into trust. We have trusted the dollar way beyond what it deserved. And yet, eventually, you know, the financial system built on the illusion of the dollar standard, it's finally been dissipated, and we've had a financial crisis. But we don't know that. But the next thing, the next shoe really to drop, the financial system, to me, was the first one. And all the liquidation and the problems and the propping up and the effort to inflate the bubble, that's all going on. But they're doing it at the expense of the dollar like never before. So the next problem that we're going to face is going to be the destruction of the dollar. And that is going to be very, very serious. Of course, that problem wouldn't be difficult to solve if we lived within our means, balanced the budget, and only had gold and silver as legal tender as the Constitution mandates. But a dollar crisis is going to be even worse than the financial crisis, the financial system. Because with this amount of trust still left in the dollar, we have been able to inflate again and double the money supply, and there has not yet been a panic. But when the dollar crisis comes, then we have economic turmoil. I mean, we have breakdown of political order, and that is very, very dangerous. So we, as a group who believe in liberty as a solution to our problems, have our work cut out for us. And we don't know how much time we have. I am so delighted with the freedom movement that in the last few years I have seen so many young people from the campuses joining us, and they know exactly what the problems are and what we ought to do, and I am very pleased with that. Another tremendous benefit that we've had, and it certainly benefited us in the campaign, and it continues to benefit us in the freedom movement, and that is we don't have to depend on the major medias to get our message out. We have the Internet. We've been able to raise funds that way, and we've been able to spread a message, and it's only beginning. But we also have to be cautious because there are proposals in Washington, and Obama has even suggested if there's an emergency, they want to take over the Internet. Well, I'm not a technician. I don't know all the details, but I'm sure hoping that Internet is bigger than Obama and that he'll never be able to rein it in. There is a movement now among the states, and they're talking more about the 10th Amendment and the kind of things that we should have talked about a long time ago. And there's even some, it'll pop up in the news that maybe people should talk about secession. We don't like our federal government. I haven't endorsed that. But I think there is going to be a form of secession from the federal government, just a de facto secession, in that the federal government is going to lose it. They're going to lose it because all they have now is the dependency on the money they have to buy the bureaucrats and buy the regulations and buy the armies to spread around the world. And when the dollar quits functioning, you know, there will be economic chaos, and people might just ignore the whole system and go on their way. Of course, those would be very, very dangerous times, and that would be involve danger because they still will have a lot of guns. Fortunately, the people still have a lot of guns, too. So the goal has to be ultimately an educational effort to teach people, the masses of people, that it's in their best interest to endorse the ideas of personal liberty because it will benefit all of us and not just a few. But when we face this time, when there will be more chaos, then we have to have a program in place. What do we do to resolve this? What do we do with monetary policy? I know of all the transition programs that I advise, and I keep working on them. I'm in a Congress for that purpose, to try to prevent the chaos that I believe will come. And it's conceivable. But ultimately, if there's a breakdown, you don't know when a dollar crisis hit. It could hit next week, next month, next year, or 10 years from now. But the foundation is gone. The enemy, the opposition, the people in charge know that, and they're already at this very moment, I believe they're in this state at the other end talking about the same issues, but they're talking about a world international, a world reserve currency. That is, they want the UN and the WTO and the IMF to control the things that the dollar has been controlling. That is why it is so important that we win this intellectual fight to prove to people that it is in our best interest to uphold the rights of individuals and hold the government in check so that their limited powers would be to enforce contracts, not to abuse contracts and force them on us. But to change the budgetary process, which is one of the most important things that we do to live within our means, we would have to have a program that would be acceptable. I don't know why it would be such a bad idea to say that, well, we had a pretty good start in this country. You know, we did have a Constitution. Maybe we could start with enforcing the Constitution. That would be a good beginning. But we still have a ways to go because there's no sincere effort in Washington to cut back. Now, you talk about being disingenuous. I don't think we can label people lying about this, but, you know, we hear people in the administration and Congress, and you say, you know, isn't printing all this money risky? Oh, yes, it is. It is. We shouldn't be doing it. But we need to. There's a crisis. What do we do about it when the economy gets going? Oh, we'll withdraw the liquidity and we'll allow interest rates to go up. They're not going to do that. And this is why they lose credibility. Then they say, well, the deficit is so big, trillions of dollars. Actually, the national debt this year is going up over $2 trillion. Oh, we know that, and we know that's dangerous. But what we'll do is we'll balance the budget in 2 or 5 or 10 years. That's good stuff, because that just means they lose more credibility all along. Nobody's going to believe it. So they come up